The truth behind the signing of John Klingberg as he joins the Edmonton Oilers, as well as a look ahead to tonight's game against the Vancouver Canucks, a huge divisional matchup later on. Hockey Day in Canada, folks. It's the weekend, it's Saturday, and it should be a fantastic one tonight. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do so. If you're part of the 79% that haven't subscribed to the channel, folks, what are you waiting for any and all Oiler news? Oilers Digest is the place to be. And without further ado, let's get into the details of the Klingberg signing. Yes, pay the man his kroner. The lovely Swede John Klingberg, officially an Edmonton Oiler. Darren Dreger broke the news yesterday, but it wasn't too sure how much they were exactly paying him and the length of the contract. But what we know now for sure is the Oilers signed 32-year-old UFA right defenseman John Klingberg to a one-year deal, a $1 million salary with a $350,000 signing bonus for a total cap hit of $1.74 million. The cap hit is higher than the $1.35 million face value due to the signing bonus on a deal starting mid-season, and Klingberg receives $824,000. Now, Frank Saravalli said, the $350K bonus paid to John Klingberg this season by the Oilers is a signing bonus, not a performance bonus, which was available to him by the nature of his injury in time missed. So, thankfully, it wasn't a performance bonus where, he was given, an extra, $2 million for doing whatever on the ice, dress once and you get an extra $2 million like they did with Connor Brown. So it's good to see, Stan Bowman not handing out performance bonuses like they are candy. Now, Darren Dreger saying, Klingberg, he had his choice of teams and he picked Edmonton. He has a chip on his shoulder, eager to prove he's healthy. He's been skating for 6 months and looking forward to showing his chronic hip issues are history. No assets required, and ability to add a right shot puck mover for salary and signing bonus is a worthwhile gamble for the Oilers. I know the right shot defenseman, the Oilers have been looking for one of those since the beginning of the season. Of course, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, you can bury that contract in the minors. It's very low risk, medium to high reward here for the Oilers, which I'm not mad about at all. The Oilers will need to send a player down to the American Hockey League, to the Bakersfield Condors, their farm team, to have their roster be cap compliant, and Josh Brown getting demoted is the most likely option. Why they haven't done that already, I have absolutely no idea. The team will remain dipped into their LTIR pool, their long-term injury reserve pool, with Evander Kane still on LTIR until probably Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, meaning they won't be able to accrue cap space. In fact, even if the Oilers return Brown and Noah Philp to the AHL, which I don't think they should send Noah Philp down to the AHL, should be a guy like Derek Ryan. No disrespect to DR10, but Derek Ryan, your time is almost up. Even if they sent those two down, it still wouldn't get them back under the salary cap. Now, you can see there the Oilers, they have to be a little bit flexible when it comes to becoming cap compliant for, the trade deadline and maximizing the amount of room here for, acquiring, a big piece. Even if the other team retains, the Oilers still have to manage that room. As you can see there, their projected cap space, they are currently over the cap by almost $1 million there. But when it comes to John Klingberg in his history with other players on the Oilers, I know the Oilers do have their fair share of Swedes, and they add one more from everybody's favorite Edmonton sports writer here, Mark Spector from Sportsnet. He said Mattias Ekholm was paired with John Klingberg at one World Championship, played on Team Sweden's D-Corps with him at two others, and Edmonton general manager Stan Bowman leaned more on Mattias Janmark for character reference, as the two were teammates for 4 seasons in Dallas. And I think Mattias Janmark is rather excited to have John Klingberg on the Edmonton Oilers there. As you can see there, Mattias Janmark having a little too much fun at John Klingberg's wedding a few summers ago. Boy, it's weird to see Mattias Janmark with an Oilers sweater that has a C on it. I mean, no disrespect to Janmark, but if those days ever came, I would be very, very disappointed. But that is it for the Klingberg. You got the term, you got the amount of money, but when it comes to Klingberg's debut with the Oilers, he will skate with the Oilers on Monday, and the team will go from there. So we should, expect Klingberg to make his Oiler debut in the next couple of days here for the Edmonton Oilers. Of course, he's been skating for the past 6 months with a juniors team, so it's not like he is rusty at all, despite not having played since November 2023 with the Toronto Maple Leafs. But Tonight, it's a big one. Are we almost home yet? The Oilers, yes, with their long road trip, and they seem to be humming along on this road trip. The only loss of the 7 games in January on the road having come against the Pittsburgh Penguins, but getting some big wins in the process over teams like the Minnesota Wild, the Boston Bruins, and the Colorado Avalanche. But from Daniel Nugent-Bowman here of The Athletic, Oilers winger Victor Arvidsson didn't play the last 7 minutes of Thursday's comeback win in Denver after blocking a shot. Of course, he blocked a shot from the Avalanche D, and he used his adrenaline to get the puck down the ice, chase the puck down the ice, but hobbled off. And with Victor Arvidsson, his injury history, it's a little bit concerning. But his undisclosed injury is believed to not be too serious. The Oilers do finish their road trip in Vancouver tonight. And where have we heard that before? Where Victor Arvidsson, his injury didn't seem to be that serious. We can go back to November here with Kris Knoblauch confirming that Victor Arvidsson is still out day-to-day and will go when they went 11-7 against the Ottawa Senators. But that day-to-day turned into a month for Victor Arvidsson. So he's been humming, he's been buzzing, he's been all of those terms ever since he came back from his injury again with the line formed with Leon Draisaitl in Vasily Podkolzin. Even when Leon Draisaitl was elevated onto the first line, the line with him in with Podkolzin and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. But we don't have a confirmed lineup tonight against the Vancouver Canucks. It is still 10 a.m. in Vancouver at the time of this recording. The Oilers haven't begun their morning skate, but we could see something similar to this with Draisaitl, McDavid, and Hyman forming that first line, that dominant first line. I was trying to find the correct word for it, but dominant was the only one that came to mind. Podkolzin, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Victor Arvidsson. Of course, this is if he is in the lineup tonight. If we don't, we could see other line mates slide into that spot with Janmark, Henrique, and Brown. I'd like to keep that third line intact, and then Jeff Skinner, Nofield, and Corey Perry. And there seems to be nothing changed on the back end with Ekholm and Bouchard, Nurse and Stetcher, and Brett Kulak in Ty Emberson. Of course, Knoblauch could always throw a wrench into the equation and put Brown next to Nurse for one final game before he's sent down to the AHL. And the starting goalie hasn't been confirmed for tonight, but it could be Stuart Skinner, as the Oilers do not play until Tuesday night against the Washington Capitals, and then after that, Thursday again against the Vancouver Canucks. So you could see Skinner starting those next 2 games, and then Pickard getting the second game against the Vancouver Canucks next Thursday. But again, Kris Knoblauch, whenever I have the answers, he seems to change the questions. So when it comes to, if Victor Arvidsson isn't in the lineup tonight, you could see something like Connor Brown next to Nugent-Hopkins in Vasily Podkolzin, and you can see the stats fairly dominant there. Not just the Corsi, but the Fenwick in, the shots, 4 shots against, not giving up a single shot in their 5 minutes and 52 seconds together. Or another option could be inserting Kasperi Kapanen, who did sit against the Colorado Avalanche the other night. That those 3 have seen a little bit more time together, almost 14 minutes together, and again, same amount of numbers. 60% Corsi 4, almost 60% Fenwick 4, and then they've been on the ice for a goal together. I didn't make a scenario with Jeff Skinner because Kris Knoblauch seems to hate Jeff Skinner, and I don't see a world where Kris Knoblauch decides, hey, I'm going to put him on the second line tonight, even though that's what many are asking for, including myself. I'm just being realistic. Kris Knoblauch has other ideas, but when it comes to, observing the opposition tonight, you can see that the Oilers and Vegas Golden Knights are tied for first in the Pacific Division, with the Vegas Golden Knights only leading on goal differential. And if you look at the very, very, very bottom, you can see the Vancouver Canucks not even in a playoff spot, 1 point behind the Calgary Flames there. And it's kind of, joyful to see ever since the second round matchup between these two teams last year. The Canucks, easily the most infuriating out of all the fan bases the Oilers played against. I mean, Dallas was superb, but Vancouver, I'd like to see them fall. And they've been falling rather fast there with only 1 win in their last 7. The only win coming against the Toronto Maple Leafs, a 3-0 shutout. But other than that, losing against one of the worst teams in Nashville, losing against Montreal, a red-hot Washington Capitol team, a red-hot Carolina Hurricane team, and then falling by consecutive scores of 6-1 and 5-1 to the Winnipeg Jets and the Los Angeles Kings, respectively here. So the Vancouver Canucks, again, no identity whatsoever with this team. And just looking at their lineup here, Jake DeBrusk, Elias Pettersson, and Jonathan Lekaramaki, Phil DiGiuseppe, JT Miller, and Brock Besser, Danton Heinen, Pius Suter, Connor Garland, and Niels Höglander, Teddy Bluger, and Kiefer Sherwood. Here you can see the deployment of Niels Höglander. Maybe they traded the wrong winger in Vasily Podkolzin. Vancouver, their loss is our gain, and I'm loving Vasily Podkolzin absolutely at this point of the season. On the back end here for Vancouver, it is Quinn and friends with Quinn Hughes and Phil Peronic, Derek Forbert and Tyler Myers, Carson Soucy, and former Oiler Vinny Desharnais, who is, again, struggling to find a role here in that Canuck lineup. And, again, the starting goaltender for Vancouver not confirmed tonight. It could be either one of Lankinen or Demko. Demko did get the start against the Los Angeles Kings, so hopefully, he'd want a bounce-back game against the Edmonton Oilers. And then you could also see Kevin Lankinen, who also would like a bounce-back game against the Edmonton Oilers, with Lankinen, of course, with that red-hot start in the Vancouver crease to begin the year, and then he sort of petered out there with a goals against average of 2.63 and a save percentage just above 900. And Demko hasn't been the same since he returned from injury. Only 2 wins in 9 games played, with 3 losses, 3 overtime losses, with a goals against average of 3.39 and a save percentage of 8.72. And as I mentioned, Lankinen would probably want that game against the Oilers on November 9th back, as the Oilers chased him, putting 7 past him, making the Canucks 7-3-3 at that point. And again, the Oilers been nothing but dominant at that point. The Canucks, again, bottoming out. So hopefully the Oilers can close this one out. The road trip, of course, they played a lot of games in a lot of days. This could be, a trap game, as many say. The Canucks aren't as good and the Oilers dominant. We've seen it before, against the Pittsburgh Penguins when the Oilers were expected to roll over them. But with the Oilers, with the Pacific Division title almost in their grasp, I could see them, being very dominant. This game will boil down in the first period. If the Oilers, have another slow start in the first period and the Canucks capitalize on that, we could see, another result of the Pittsburgh game where the Oilers try to chase the game all night long and eventually they're unable to get back in it. But we've seen the Oilers, claw their way back in 2 consecutive games against the Minnesota Wild and Colorado Avalanche. So just enjoy the greatness right now, folks. I mean, the slow October start means nothing right now, as the Oilers are possibly the best team in the NHL. That is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the Klingberg contract and your thoughts on tonight's game. Should be an interesting one. We are still 9 hours away from this one. Of course, those late puck drops are always a struggle to wait throughout the day. And enjoy the hockey day in Canada. Lots of hockey games on today, folks. All 7 Canadian teams in action, and it is always one of the most action-packed days across the NHL schedule in any given year. Make sure to subscribe here to Oilers Digest and enjoy the rest of the week. And we will be back tomorrow with an Oilers Canucks recap. Hopefully, it's a fantastic one to give to you guys. Enjoy the rest of the day. Take care. I'm Matt.